Good morning. How are you doing? I'm Howler Mouse, 47-year collector of comics, coming up on my 15th year on YouTube, I do believe. And man, we're at the end of the new year. It has been a beautiful weekend. I don't know about where you live, but we've had like temperatures down in the teens, if not even lower with the wind chill. And yesterday we went and spent the day in Abingdon, Virginia, had some authentic Italian food, went to the Speedway of Lights, hit a Books a Million. And I tell you, it was just so warm. It was in the 60s, and it was just fantastic. So we're coming at you live on December 29th, 2024. The year is almost over. It is 8, what is it, 27 a.m. I started a little bit early. And why did I start early? Because apparently I had zero technical issues. And yeah, yeah, I got to tell you, man, it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time that's going on here towards the end of the year. I mean, it's upon a upswing and upbeat, So it's been a very stressful and melodramatic time the last couple of years, 4 years to 6 or 7, right? So before we get started with today's topic, as you can see by the title, since you're here and you're with me this Sunday morning, um, let's say hello to everyone before we get started here. All right. Hey, Howler Mouse. Now be like John, guys. We're early into the show. And yes, there are things that I have to do today, things that you need to do today. But I like spending these Sunday mornings with everybody with our coffee. And the person who seems to always just be there, be like John. This is the role model for the channel, right? Make sure you thumb up the video. Just go ahead and thumb it up, right? You've shown up. We're going to spend this time together, and I'm appreciative of it. Thumb up the video. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell for the notification. I'm actually getting back on track with making videos and things, and I feel good about some of the things, the topics and stuff that are coming up and everything. So make sure you don't miss them. And thanks, John, man. You're very much appreciated, man. And then we have Victor Shade here. Good morning. It's a warm 40s, but rainy in Michigan. There we go, Michigan. Yes. Um, well, I wonder if you're near any of the Great Lakes and stuff. That's fantastic, man. Yes, it's about to rain at exactly 8:30 is what the weather told me, right? So, guys, as we all stand here, and as we stand here, and we're typical men this morning. Women talk about their men, and men talk about the weather like some bad country song. Dear God, how about I get my microphone up here so you can hear me? How's that? I'm so glad I spotted that before we got further into the show. Microphone way down there. I think I'm good. But anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about things that are going on today on this channel. Isn't that wild? A channel that, for you new subscribers, and actually the topic today, I've already lost 2 subscribers and had a nasty comment left on my last video talking about comic books you need to read if you've enjoyed the Creature Commandos, which I think just completed up its 4th episode at the time of this recording, if I think so, which is on Max. That is released every Thursday, I believe, on Max. A show that's going incredibly well, despite me having one or two problems. And if you enjoyed the Superman trailer, and I'm excited about James Gunn stuff that's coming up there, right? So, we're going to actually talk about something that's going on in the now, and there's a little bit of drama with it, which just, cracks me up. So how these things happen and how these people find each other is the mystery to me. And I don't like a mystery. I like answers. I don't know about you guys, right? So let me know in the comments how you feel about the Superman trailer, about Krypto popping up, many characters that have popped up in it, Mr. Miracle, right? Because on this channel, for you new subscribers, and after having this channel for so long and having a channel that peaked years ago and everything, it's great to know that there's still new people out there discovering the channel. And I think the biggest difference, if I want to plug this channel and maybe even pat myself on the back, which I don't mind about something like this because it's not unique, is the biggest part of this channel is that it doesn't matter if you just watched a superhero cartoon, if you just watched a superhero connected, comic book connected, commercial or movie or anything, or if you've read one book or if you've been reading comics since the 50s, okay? It doesn't matter. This is a channel where we read the comics, we talk about the comics, we have seasoned people who are in the chat, who comment on it, who check in on this. And that's the biggest thing. We actually read the comics here. Okay. um, Speculation has always been part of the hobby. Selling has been part of the hobby. Trading has been part of the hobby. What is flipping has been part of the hobby, right? I like to think we got a little bit of a balance here. Okay. So, yeah. And then there's drama, melodrama, and things that there's appropriate drama to talk about. And then there's the silly stuff. And then there's my observations with what's going on. And that's pretty much where we're at today because it's like Attack of the Snyderverse in the Superman trailer, right? It just amazed me. Now, to jump into the topic, to kind of give us some kind of frame of reference here, from my point of view, is we have the man Zack Snyder. Good morning. Yeah, here we go. We have backup. We have proof here, right? You're right. I'm not old. I'm seasoned. Yes, yes. And for anybody that looks at me and wants to look at Jared also, the only thing I have to say is, you know, dude, you look old is what you might look at me. You've watched me grow old on the channel with some people here. There's still 4 or 5 people who have been here from the beginning that pop in, but I've earned every ugly mark on this face, so that's why I'm proud of it. You know. Oh man. So anyway, for frame of reference, Zack Snyder is a person who writes, produced, directed many great movies over the years, right? I first discovered Zack Snyder with Day of the Dead back in the 2000s. I was actually sitting in the theater by myself watching this movie because I actually had a legitimate fear of the zombies. I would watch the news up until about 2012. I legitimately had a quirk where I would kind of keep up with the news, waiting for the word zombie to hit because I could see the zombies happen. And it did not help that bath salts came out, and it made the news that somebody was down in Florida was eating somebody's face under a bridge. You know, so I had to go face this fear that I had. I watched zombie movies when I was a kid. That's where it came from. But I could see zombies actually happening. I could see that being a reality. Even what was it? The Rain Snake in the Rainbow. Anyway, there's even an '80s movie that was supposed to be a true story about people getting turned into zombies, paralyzed, and buried alive, and things like that, right? So I go to see this movie, and the first thing that happens is on this channel, I like music, authentic music. I probably love music more than comics, believe it or not, right? But I can't stand country music, manufactured, soulless music where they show up and they clock in at 9, even if they're in they sit there in an office and they'll have all these songwriters come in, and it doesn't matter if there's a moment of inspiration that may be real. They clock out at 12 to go to lunch. It doesn't matter. Okay. But then you have people who just write music and that's how it comes out, right? If it has a twang to it, if it has a little bit of nasal to it, when they sing, something like that, that's how it came out. And Johnny Cash is one of those guys. He's not country music. He's fucking Johnny Cash. Okay. So anyway, I'm watching Day of the Dead, and we see the opening, we see the zombies coming out, a lot of action, a lot of great camera work. I'm like, this is great. My phobia is going away. As I'm watching this fantastic movie, which I know is a remake, and then all of a sudden, when we get into like opening credits, the opening credit scene, we got the scene to grab us, get us interested, hold us, and then we get a little montage of an opening there, and we get a Johnny Cash song, right? About death on the pale horse coming in, right? And I'm like, oh my God, this is great because I had the CD already. So I'm like, who did this movie? Great stuff, right? Then I had the movie, I just didn't want to dig it out. Okay. So then all of a sudden, several years later, was it 2007, we get 300, the 300 movies. Okay. Just to get some reference here, let's go ahead and bring out Comic Cam. I'm starting to get juiced, guys. This is good. All right. Say good morning to Comic Cam. See how this goes. All right, so we have 300 here, right? Look at the glare this morning. I bragged about no technical issues, and then what happens, right? So then we get 300, right? And before this movie, going off of my memory, I want to reserve the right to correct myself later. Not that anybody's really keeping score, but it matters to me. Before this, the greatest comic book adaptations that I had seen were, I felt like, The Crow in 1994. And I'm trying to remember if Sin City, I'm pretty sure Sin City had already come out. Okay, guys. So Sin City, the two best comic book direct adaptations I'd ever seen. So I was like, how are they going to do 300? I dabbled in 300. I believe I had an issue or two of 300. I still have the Xerxes issues that came out years later. And all of a sudden, I'm like, this genius, right? I saw 300. It's one of the few movies I hadn't come out of a movie since Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, and before that, half the movies in the 80s. I had not walked out of a theater ready to like either fuck somebody or fight them. Yes, yes, I said that. All right. And now we're going to clean it up. Okay. So, yeah, but I was just like, wow. Yeah, come go into this movie. Fantastic. Didn't think it was going to be made. So I'm in it. Now I know who Zack Snyder is. Move forward years later, and here's a movie I felt like I solely defended myself, even though I know I didn't, but that's what it felt like, right? So, on this channel, the number one comic goes between three books, right? I have issues with what I consider to be my favorite series. It goes back and forth. Hold on, guys. We need to think about this glare. Anyway, in 2009, a bunch of my friends get together, which was about 20 people, which blew my mind because I was moving 3 hours away, leaving my job that I had at a place I'd worked at for 14 years, and moved 3 hours away to Roanoke, Virginia, to be closer to my son. They had all moved, and he had been in a three-car pile-up wreck. Luckily, he came out with minimal damage as it could be, right? So, as a goodbye, my friends got together, took me to the midnight premiere of Zack Snyder's Watchmen movie. And then I found out 2, 3 days later, three or four of them, and I'm Brandon, Matt and Brandon for sure, if you guys are watching. But anyway, and they do check in. They came together and they got me the absolute edition of Watchmen as a goodbye gift, right? And they worked in the store. They got a discount. They probably held it back. It was very thoughtful. Okay. Very thoughtful, very touched. If there's a fire, I'm running out with the book. One of two or three of them, right? So the theatrical version of this was shit. They got the Dr. Manhattan part right. And then all of a sudden, this Ultimate Cut came out, right? And this is the Ultimate Cut DVD. I'm trying to think if I have the Ultimate Cut Blu-ray. I think I just have the Director's Cut Blu-ray. I don't know. I'll probably have it somewhere. Anyway, but the Ultimate Cut, when it came out, I'm like, this is it. And yes, they changed the ending. There's no squid, but it kind of worked, in my opinion, because he brought in Dave Gibbons. The name, there's a theme there. If you look at it right in the first issue of The Watchmen, when we are introduced to Dr. Manhattan, and it's in the film, he's working on something, right? He's got gears floating around. He's a giant. There's a round ball and everything like that. In the movie, what they ended up doing was either intentionally or unintentionally, after bringing in Dave Gibbons to do new storyboards, instead of the octopus at the end, they had a great big huge bomb, made out of Dr. Manhattan energy, if you will, right? His name is Dr. Manhattan. New York still gets bombed in about the same way. It's just the execution of it's the weapon that has changed, but it references Dr. Manhattan's name and the Manhattan Project. The Manhattan Project was the project where the United States, British Columbia, Great Britain, United States, and Canada came together and built the first nuclear bomb, right? So it kind of worked. There was little panels in there that still were able to do it. Now, Zack Snyder ended up doing this really cool thing that I picked up right in the theaters, that we got a faithful adaptation, more or less, of about the first 6 issues. And then it comes to Rorschach going after the kidnapped girl. I'm trying to be careful here, right? Finding the kidnapper that had already killed the girl and fed him to Fred and Barney the dogs. And instead of burning him down in the house after handcuffing him to the wood burner, whatever it was, right? He takes a hatchet and he starts going into his face with it, right? Just chopping into him brutally, taking off his face with a meat cleaver, hatchet, whatever it was. Pretty sure it was a meat cleaver, right? And to me, that was Zack Snyder communicating to the audience, I am now cutting away from the book, right? I'm separating from the book, and he starts doing a little bit more of his own thing, right? So right there, what we have here is the genius of Zack Snyder, in my opinion, is that he is fantastic at doing comic book adaptations, doing the detail, using the comic as storyboards, right? Respect. It feels like he actually had a passion and a respect for the source material, right? So this success, as I understand it, God, I can't believe I've had this stuff that long, led to him being in charge of DC, coming out with trying to make some kind of coherent movie universe. And I do believe it started with Man of Steel. Okay. Guys, Man of Steel, if I remember right, according to this, came out in 2013. And for years, I thought it came out in 2014. This came out in 2013, guys. It is now 2024. And in what, Wednesday, 3 days from now, it'll be 2025. This is a 12-year-old movie. And the movie was well done. I enjoyed the movie. But there were still little things where I'm like, well, we'll see where they're going. He really grabbed onto the alien thing. Snyder brought a darkness to it. And we come to find out a couple years later, not to get into his personal life, but he was having some family issues with one of his daughters. Okay, so I'm kind of wondering if that kind of leaked in here, right? This led to many movies, and I'll never forget the big announcement when they said they were doing Superman versus Batman. I think it was San Diego Comic-Con, and they came up and they pretty much gave you the idea that they were doing The Dark Knight Returns, right? Okay, a mixed bag here with some of these movies that start coming out. And then the Justice League movie, Zack Snyder's problems at home ended up having them make a move and start seeing legitimate cracks in what they were trying to do. And we got a Justice League movie where they did major, huge reshoots. Guys, I'm not a journalist here, but I think I'm getting the story across, right? And we turned around and they bring in Josh Whedon to, I think he did some rewrites and reshoots and brought in a bunch of the actors later. And you can see the scenes. It messes up the flow of the movie very much. You can tell, right? Justice League movie. Now, at this point, by the time we got to the Suicide Squad, I was just sort of like low expectations. The Suicide Squad, my biggest thing is we got the Suicide Squad, all right? They acknowledged the John Ostrander years. Basically what they were doing, there were characters here I never thought I would see. Everybody was excited because we've got a Harley Quinn. I actually ended up seeing this one by myself. I could not wait for my friends. That's just what happened. Still ended up seeing it with my friends, but I do remember now. And I also remember an ex-girlfriend and her daughter ended up popping up behind me, and I just like they weren't there. Anyway, I'm sorry, man, just a memory here. But what the biggest thing is that I have Katana. I had a character called Katana. This movie ended up being a lot of walking around in a city, and a lot of wasted characters. And I'll never forget seeing Jim Starlin's reaction to it. I think it was on Facebook or Twitter at the time, where he kind of agreed. He'd agree with me, is that he came to the same conclusion I did, but he had a seething hate for this movie. Okay, I mean, it was amazing, right? So we did get two good movies out of this. Good being relative, but profitable, saying that they were good, if you will, right? And one was Aquaman, which surprised me. And I joked around saying, you could not have told me as a kid that we would have had Aquaman make $1 billion where a Superman movie didn't, if I remember right. Okay. All right. So I was like, wow. Right. I mean, that is the power of getting a good looking New Zealander in there, is all I could say, man. Right. Who should be playing Lobo more than Aquaman. Right. Cool movie. I enjoyed it. They brought in the deep, the monsters and stuff. They had some actual artistic quality in there. They brought in I love how they always bring in like 2 or 3 legitimate actors. I call that the Star Wars formula, where they brought in Sir Alec Guinness, as the real actor for, as Obi-Wan for Star Wars, if you will. And that's what they did. Nicole Kidman, oh God, who played the Green Goblin? Will Dafoe. things like that. And then, things happen behind the scenes that were out of the control of the people that made these movies. Amber Heard shitting in Johnny Depp's bed. Things like that. Things, just weird things that were happening. And the other one that they completely lost this franchise, right? Wonder Woman, a very balanced movie that was simply fantastic. Finally made Gal Gadot a star as she was about to quit Hollywood because she just wasn't getting the parts. And we got an epic scene where she crosses no man's land, right? And the greatest thing about this movie is that the trend is to have a lot of things where basically we make men look stupid. If anything, to elevate people, they feel like they have to tear others down. This didn't do that. This was a Wonder Woman. Just a fantastic movie. I was so happy to this. Then we had Wonder Woman 1984, and fuck that shit. Okay, so it's all done, over with, right? So that's so there was a lot of things going on. Now, in the midst of all this, if you guys remember, and if you have HBO Max, I actually think this was a good thing, and I actually caught myself hashtagging this like anybody was really going to see me. I got caught up in a moment also, but they wanted to release the Snyder cut, right? I've enjoyed a majority of the Snyder cuts, right? But what I have come to see with Snyder movies, because he had a god awful movie that was original called Sucker Punch. If you like that movie, I apologize. But there was like something missing. There was such a great concept, great actresses, great visuals, but something about the movie just didn't pop, and it was forgettable, right? Um, you can just go so far with hot girls. You know what I'm saying? Um, so anyway, yeah, I mean that movie such a disappointment. I remember just being deflated when it was over with. I'm like, that was it, So come on, man. But anyway, what I found out is the biggest difference is that Zack Snyder can do one hell of an adaptation, where James Gunn does his own thing. He's a bit more original, right? So they started doing online anytime anything popped up about comic book news, heroes, anything. Everybody was on there. Released the Snyder cut. They wanted the Justice League Snyder cut, and we got it. We got the Snyder cut. They also ended up redeeming Jared Leto a little bit, in my opinion. I didn't dislike Jared Leto's Joker. I could just tell we didn't get a chance to see Jared Leto do it. You know what I mean? I knew there was more. But so in that Snyder cut of the Justice League that they released on HBO Max, and I know it was a stunt to get that streaming service going. We got the Snyder cut, which I do think was an improvement, and we also got this new ending that was leading to what I think Zack Snyder was trying to adapt was Grant Morrison's Justice League Rock of Ages from the 90s that led into and tied into the Final Crisis, and that's where Darkseid got the anti-life equation, and we got that post-apocalyptic future and Batman's dreams and the parademons and stuff. So I totally get people being frustrated with not getting to see Zack Snyder's vision, come to fruition. Also, people were mad about Henry Cavill not being rehired as Superman. But we also got like some other quirky movies out there. The Shazam movie was fun. That's what I mean. I started settling, saying I finally get to see these characters in a movie. I was settling, and I knew I was settling at the time, right? But the freaking Shazam movie ended up being the Power Rangers. I was like, that's not Captain Marvel. They had some aspects right, and then I was redeemed with my thoughts with the god awful second movie that everybody's forgotten. If they even went and saw it, and a few things. It was just a crash and burn. And at the same time, the Marvel movies with Phase 4 had 2 or 3 good movies, and then the rest were like crash and burn. And now we come into the James Gunn stuff and the comics and what's going on now, right? So that's a good place for me to take a breath, get a cup of coffee, and look at these comments, see if anybody's on track with me, or if anybody wants to correct me on a little bit of history, because I don't script this stuff. I shoot from the hip. I go by memory. Okay, we have Jose. I'm a Man of Steel is the greatest Superman film of all time. I think it's fantastic. I also feel like we can get into some of the characters about how there's different Supermen and stuff, and I kind of feel like you're always influenced by your age and what movie comes out at that certain age. For me, the first Superman movie with Christopher Reeve. The first 45 minutes, 50 minutes have never been touched. I mean, but I was also 5 years old. You know what I mean? Snyder movies, excuse me, Victor. Snyder movies always look nice, but the stories aren't that great in my opinion. 300 was a faithful adaptation, though. That's what I'm getting at. Snyder does fantastic adaptations. His original stuff, though, I think that's where there's some flaws. I did like a lot of Man of Steel. Cast was great, and Paul Kent characterization was so off. Okay, I get what you're saying. Kevin Costner being Kevin Costner. All right. Moss is a CBM masterpiece. Man of Steel is a masterpiece. Oh, it's fantastic. That's what I'm trying to get. Brightburn. You know what I mean? In the middle of this, Zack Snyder produces Brightburn. I think he might have helped write that. Brightburn to me is the flip side of the Man of Steel coin. You need to have those two movies back to back. Okay. Let me see. Gunn. Let me see what we're saying here. Mad Max. Gunn doesn't suit DC. Well, I'm about to talk about some of the stuff that I've been seeing online in my video I put out yesterday, where I actually got called a hack and hashtag boycott Gunn, hashtag boycott all this big movement and all the stuff that I've seen online anytime any news is posted about it. So tell me why Gunn doesn't suit DC in your opinion. Whedon was brought in to Marvel up the JLA movie. Now WBD want Gunn to Marvelize the whole DC universe. Okay, Max, I guess you answered my question there. We'll see. You might want to watch my video I put out about where he's pulling from the actual comics. If anything, just going by the trailer, he's more comic book accurate with the characters than Snyder was with a lot of that stuff. I did like Snyder's Victor Shade. Also, I did like Snyder's JLA, which did a bunch of reshoots for it. It did seem so long ago. Yeah, that's what I mean. This stuff is from this stuff is from a different decade. The world has moved on. That's what gets me, right? Let me finish these before I get on there. Mad Max is back. And by the way, I love your handle name. If we're going to describe Snyder fans as zealots, no. Don't jump on that. There are, in any fandom, there are zealots, all right? You can be a Snyder fan and not be a zealot, okay? But the ones that I have been seeing who claim to be comic book and Snyder fans are the zealots, right? It's not all Snyder fans, dude. Okay, then what do we call the fan base that signed petitions to rehire Gunn after we found out that he thinks Child Abuse is funny and all the CGI raccoon? Well, first of all, I haven't seen those tweets. The other thing is, so I can't comment on those. And he's not in jail. Who knows? And Rocket Raccoon was fantastic. I got my video where people were like, "Oh no, Guardians of the Galaxy might be Marvel's first flop," and I got a video up. The link is on my last video that I actually shot. But anyway, it's put Howler Mouse Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm like, it's got a freaking raccoon with a machine gun. Of course, it's going to be a hit. Keith, again, Rocket Raccoon was comic book accurate. And then I did like Sucker Punch. Edward, nice guy. See, that's what I'm saying. If you like Sucker Punch, that's cool. It deflated me. I saw so much potential. I saw more than what it could be. I couldn't just take it for what it is. So there's no hate. I like the Snyder movies. The movies that are bad, I like parts of it. I got to see it, right? The biggest flaw that I think where things truly went wrong, and then they tried to redeem it, was, of course, the Batman versus Superman. He tried to take one issue of The Dark Knight Returns #4, and then he tried to take pages from that one 4-issue story and give us the fight from it, where it didn't have the impact of what it really was supposed to be. You know, they set people's expectations high. You can go back and the footage is there of when they announced the movie was being made and what was going on with it and what was the redeeming quality. We sat through almost a 2.5-hour movie, and then all of a sudden at the end of it, Wonder Woman shows up and steals the movie right down to her movie theme music and stuff, right? And that's critiquing them. These aren't just movies that you can, turn your brain off and watch because you're like, what the hell, man? So, yeah, and this is what I'm talking about here. I got to use Mad Max here. This is what I'm saying. I'm just talking about Gunn. I'm just talking about things, and you guys blow your mind. I don't know you. I don't know if you're one of the zealots, but yeah, the internet is forever. Okay. Reeves Superman to me was legendary. Yeah, that's what I mean. And I'll talk about that, right? Gunn fixed the Mandis character from the comics, not comic book accurate, but better. Hated the character in the games. And I'll talk about how Gunn does some of these characters, right? It's in it's in the video I put up yesterday about comics to read if you like the Gunn Superman trailer and the Commandos. But let me get back on track here, right? So, guys, there's been many Supermen. I have grown up in a way where very few recastings have made me angry, and really, it's been the last 10 years, okay, with some of the stuff, and that's why I've kind of stepped away from things, and I'm nowhere near as passionate about certain things as I was 10 years ago, right? The new stuff, right? I grew up in a time where I found Doctor Who, right? Okay, Doctor Who started in '63. My Tom Baker was the fourth Doctor. There was a fifth Doctor. There, Peter Davies. There was a sixth Doctor, I believe Sylvester McCoy. 2005 comes around, Chris Eccleston, and on and so forth, Matt Smith and everything. So I've seen many, many different versions of Doctor Who, but it happens in story. And then Peter Capaldi comes on, and when they did the story about the moon and made it a political story, I was like, oh no, Peter Capaldi got screwed. We got the horrible Jodie Whittaker stuff. There was online people saying, make Doctor Who a woman. They didn't show up to watch, okay? Or if they did, they didn't stick around. And then we got this version that's going on now that even Disney is like, looks like they're about to wipe their hands of it and stuff, right? I grew up with James Bond. When I came in, Roger Moore. Roger Moore was James Bond. Okay, I recognize that Sean Connery is the best, Bond, but my James Bond is Roger Moore because I came in. My Superman is Christopher Reeve. Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, Pierce Bronson, Daniel Craig. Okay, several different James Bonds by the characters. They ended up kind of writing it into the story to where James Bond may just be a number in a name, in a persona for assassins to take on. Okay, so I even had a show called The Charmings that I watched that I enjoyed, where they changed the lead actress between seasons, and nobody really noticed. They did a few, they acknowledged it in some news articles and Entertainment Tonight or something. But let's go all the way back to the '60s, guys. They changed Darren, and in pop culture, in some movie, they even screamed and yelled about it that they changed actors mid-season and nobody noticed. All right, so it happens, right? Okay, so the point that I'm trying to make is that I come from the school of thought that it's the character that's important. The actor comes in to serve the character, and so it keeps going on, right? You are stepping in on someone else's creation, someone else that has, it has its own fan base, and it's going to be around longer than before. Try to leave it better than you left it if you can, right? How many Batmans have there been, right? Adam West. Oh God, I keep wanting to say Kirk Allen. I left out Kirk Allen about the Superman. Superman, Christopher Reeves. Oh God, Dean Cain. You know, Henry Cavill. Oh my God, there's a Superboy. There's so many. I usually know these off the top of my head, right? There's been there's different Superman, different Batman, but the characters have persevered even in different interpretations. And that's where my frame of mind comes from, right? We are moving forward. What Zack Snyder tried to do and what DC tried to do and the movie studios tried to do didn't work. It was a mixed bag. 2 or 3 good movies, a bunch of great moments. It's time we're moving on. I mean, this is common sense to me, right? And then, due to the passion of the fans, we got the Snyder cut of the Justice League released, right? Now we come into James Gunn coming in. I've watched James Gunn's movies ever since Super, when I didn't know that he wrote that. I should have grabbed it. He did a movie called Super, a little indie movie, a little horror movie about little squiggly red worms, which I was like, what the fuck am I watching? That was the one where I was just like, what? And then James Gunn, won me over because what I found out real quick is that he has the capability of being original, right? This is an unfair comparison of Snyder and Gunn. I just want to acknowledge that, right? That's why I tried to establish, you know, I got respect for Snyder. He's got some of my favorite comic book movies and a favorite horror movie there for me, right? But anyway, what we can see with Gunn is that he's read the comics, and I think he's from the era that I would say I feel like he's from the 80s era. I don't know, right? But he's definitely read the comics. He definitely has these characters in mind. He likes the quirky stuff. He likes the characters that you can they're not the icons that can't be touched. You know, he can do some character development with them. Somebody mentioned Mantis here and stuff. But what he ends up doing is that he doesn't really follow the comics. He comes up with original stuff. And so just to let you know that I'm not a James Gunn fanboy, that anything he throws out there, I'm going to be like, oh, that's great and stuff. I'm still pissed about what he did to Adam Warlock. Okay. That's not Adam Warlock, right? Um, yeah, I had a huge problem with what he did with Adam Warlock. I can't let it go. I can't let it go. Okay. And then the Creature Commandos, I'm kind of cool with what he's done. But if you've watched the Creature Commandos, I really don't like what he's done to Frankenstein. We just had a Frankenstein origin centric story, and I'm just like, oh man, you know, I really hope he goes somewhere better with this, right? Everything else he's done, I've been really cool. The GI Robot story was fantastic. You know, what he's doing with the Bride is sort of interesting, but let's get to the point. Let's see what's going on. So there's a lot of great things going on there, right? So they mentioned Mantis. Mantis is nothing like she is in the comic, but she's a better character. She serves the story, right? But these characters kind of look and feel authentic. I mean, my God, he had a character named Yondu in there that was nothing like the comic, and I'm realizing that Yondu is probably a common name amongst that race, kind of like John Smith around here and stuff, right? But he threw in little tidbits here in the Guardians of the Galaxy where we got entertaining, fun, original movies, and we would get a little Easter egg of like we actually got to see, you know, Starhawk, played by Sylvester Stallone, Martin X over here in the background, Charlie, you know, at the end of at Yondu's funeral, we got to see the original Guardians of the Galaxy, if you will, even if it's just an Easter egg, right? So the other thing is, how are these movies going to be? I don't know. I've got a good feeling for them, but the trailer for the Superman trailer really showed me that, at least when it comes to fandoms online, we have fans. There was a guy, I think he's Scottish Superman on X, and he was just all mad about it. But what I'm seeing is that a lot of these people that are speaking up now, they're more Snyder fans and Henry Cavill fans than they are fans of the character in the movies, in the comics, and that's fine. What I'm also seeing is that a lot of these people have not read the comics, because when they saw the trailer and they saw the bowl cut for Guy Gardner, they were like, what the hell is that? What is this? I'm just sitting here like, oh, you know, I'm like, now we're getting divisive. You know, now we're getting divisive. You're exposing yourself and stuff, right? We got to, here I am trying to use Comic Can. When they saw Mr. Terrific, I saw some things like, what the hell's on his face? You know, so I'm just sort of like, I mean, how can you like try to say something about that characters if you still like Booster Gold? Sorry, guys, I got to throw it out there, man. You know, but yeah, if you're going to defend Booster Gold, I don't want to hear a damn word about Guy Gardner. So I never ever thought I would see a day where Guy Gardner from the '80s, with the Mo bowl cut, um, was the topic, was going to be the pinnacle of who's authentic and who's not. You know what I mean? Of who knows what they're talking about and who's not. I didn't think this was going to be the character. And then we have the krypto situation here, right? Oh yeah. Just to let you know, another thing I want to criticize real quick and move on, because I'm going to have to see the movie. The casting of Supergirl. This is the one where I've had zero support with my friends that I've talked. I've been assured that the actress is, you know, a great actress, is what I've been told. And I also was wrong about Michael Keaton back in the day. I totally own that. I don't care if I was 15, 16 when I was like, what the hell are they doing with Mr. Mom being Batman? I don't know what that voice was I just did. I didn't sound like that when I was 15, 16, right? So I'm going to kind of slow down, but I think my problem is that Tom King is involved in this stuff, and his writing, guys, come on now. I've said it before. I've said it many times, right? So what was I talking about? Let me get over here. I'm getting worked up. Getting worked up. And that's good. That's good. That just means I have a little bit of a passion here. Okay, here we go. We got concerns for what Gunn is going to do, people. My concern for the Gunn Superman is the number of additional characters. He's great with group movies, but that's not what I want with Superman. Um, Again, if that ends up being an issue when the movie comes out, I'm going to call it out also, and I get that concern. What I also like, but on the flip side of that, and this isn't defending it, but for me personally, I sort of like the idea that we're not. I mean, one of the things I rolled my eyes about was all the Batman movies where we keep seeing the origin in Crime Alley and his parents getting shot, right? James Gunn is coming into this supposedly, as he has stated in an interview or something somewhere, that this universe is already established, right? People have seen enough movies, and Superman is in pop culture enough to where everybody knows the origin. Everybody knows the origin of Batman. There's no need to retell it. So now we're picking up where this is an established superhero universe. We know all the stories. We've had all the movies. We don't need a fresh start from the beginning up. We've got a bunch of duds where that has happened already. The point of doing something over and over and over and expecting the same outcome, that is the definition of insanity. That is a cliche for a reason. Cliches are based in truth and stuff, right? So, now, part of, you got to remember, one of the things I'm kind of worried about, Victor, just kind of show you that I totally get where you're coming from, is I'm really hoping that we don't have what happened to Batman there for a little bit in the 90s, where we got less Batman, more villain. You know what I mean? Like, he's co-starring in his own movie. Um, to me, the Superman world in Superman and how he affects these characters need to be what's in a movie called Superman. Okay, so yeah, I'm totally with you guys. Right, I totally understand where you're coming from. Right, Richie's brother from Happy Days disappeared, and no one on the show even mentioned it. There you go, Edward. Real fans of Happy Days remember him. All right. Last time I saw him, he was dribbling the basketball. Said, "Hey, I'm gonna go outside and shoot some hoops," and never saw again. I thought Super was good. Super was fantastic, Edward. I'm with you. He said he regretted introducing Adam Warlock. Excuse me. My comment about Adam Warlock. Victor is giving me something here. He said he regretted introducing the Adam Warlock cocoon earlier in the Guardian movies. He said he felt that he had to pay that off. Warlock deserved to be tied into the whole Thanos storyline. Absolutely. If you read the comics, and we can't really blame Gunn for this. Everything was approved. All the movies. There was Kevin Feige. This was a Kevin Feige problem, in my opinion, if it's even a problem. I mean, we're caught up in the moment. I don't really. It's what's done is done, and the world didn't dissolve in front of us and stuff, right? But you had Adam Warlock. You had Jude Law playing Captain Marvel, which was freaking wasted. That was a wasted opportunity. That's the movie we should have got. But you had Thanos, Drax. You had all the characters from that era of Jim Starlin's space opera there, and Infinity Gauntlet also, and things like that. And those characters, it didn't go the way it went in the comics. So I don't want to digress here. Here we go. Jose, in my opinion, Superman should be dark and gritty, godlike character. Okay, Superman should be a dark and gritty, godlike character. See, and I'm kind of wondering how old you are and when you got introduced to Superman, because the Superman that I kind of have is like, the truth, justice, American way. He's a beacon of hope. Bright colors and things like that. When he did export, there are stories like Action Comics 775 where he went up against the Elite. I have a John Bernstein comic where he actually executed some Kryptonians. When he has gone dark, it messes with his character. They've done it in story. So yeah, I get it. Somebody's got to balance out Batman, guys. You got Batman for your dark and gritty stuff, man. Hey, Afro. Hey, Howler Mouse. I personally would want Cavill back too, but we have to move on. I'm looking forward to seeing Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, Krypto, Metamorpho, and big screen with Superman. And here's the thing. Let me comment about Henry Cavill, guys. Right? Awesome Superman, and he comes off very well with all the things that I've seen him on over the years, and interviews and group interviews and stuff, where he's proclaimed his love of Warhammer. He walked away from The Witcher because they were getting away from the source material. If anything, I think he should have got a better send off for what he did, but that's not Gunn's fault, guys. That's what I'm trying to say. I think Gunn's been made the fall guy for some stuff, but I don't want to go too far with that because I don't know. Good point about the origin. 4 panels and All-Star Superman was what's needed. Yeah. All-Star Superman, which I have right here, guys. This is what I'm getting at here, man. Let me stop right there for a minute and comment on that before I get back on topic. Okay, guys. So All-Star Superman right here. Grant Morrison wanted to play around. He said that everyone knew the origin of Superman, so he wanted to see how, with a minimalistic approach, how little he could do to tell the whole story. And he was able to do it in 4 panels and 3 captions. 1, 2, 3 captions. 4. 1 caption per panel. 4 panels, 4 captions. All right. Doomed planet. Desperate scientist. That's his parents. Last hope. The rocket goes and he's found by the Kents. Kindly couple. That's it. Okay. There's your origin of Superman, right? It's not needed, guys. It's not needed. Okay. Okay, let me get through these and get back on topic. If I remember where I left off, I'm cautiously optimistic about the Gunn movie. He seems to care about a good story, which would be a refreshing change lately for superhero movies. Absolutely. Okay, guys. So basically, the other thing is they have nowhere to go but up. The DC Universe movies have nowhere to go but up. Okay. Even if we come in there and this movie is a little bit wonky, it's hopefully going to have seeds out there. Next, in just a few days, they're going to start the Supergirl movie. The Commandos got Creature Commandos got their season 2 lit, so things are moving forward and stuff, right? And Gunn has set up rules that he's making sure he's letting everybody know. One of the good moves, as long as they're following through, that Gunn has been doing is that he's assuring people that we're not just doing this haphazardly. No movie, no project goes forward until they get full scripts, right? Also, I just feel really positive about them, but I am cautious about it stuff because we've been burned by Marvel, who was just on all cylinders and stuff, right? But to get back to some of the fandom stuff that's going on with some of these fans in the Snyderverse and stuff, right, that are fans of it, some of the zealots that come out, automatically they start yelling about krypto. They start yelling about the dumb bowl cuts. They sit there and they attack Gunn on a personal level and things like that. And it's a catch-22 for these guys, right? I don't understand. I can understand being passionate about that era. Let's celebrate the Snyderverse. Here's a little group where we go through the movies. We use what we have. I wish they would have done this. What would Snyder have done? Those things have existed forever with it. Go to a Trekkie convention. You know what I mean? You have people who are just, they love Star Trek, but you got the people who are like, I'm coming as my next generation. Thank God Discovery is not canon anymore. They do the original 60s one, and then you get into debates of merits and based on the work of like Picard or Kirk and stuff. We saw it with Big Bang Theory. They're out there. They've been there, right? But they just want to crash. What they do is they're helping the algorithm. The more that they are attacking this and trying to get a movement and a boycott, it's trying to come off like they're trying to, online at least, they're trying to act like it's coming off like this isn't cool. Nobody thinks this is cool, and it's an illusion for people who don't know what's going on. People who just casually read this stuff and everything. They're like, oh, this must be bad because everybody seems to be hating it that knows comics and stuff, right? Well, they've exposed themselves, and it's helped the algorithm. That's why I'm seeing so much of it, okay? The more you interact with it, whether good or bad, it increases the algorithm on all the social media sites, and you do nothing but get it going. You're making it go viral. More and more and more. It's going to stay like that until the movie comes out. You're helping it. And also, my real problem with the term zealots, okay, is that I am specifically talking about those fans that call themselves fans that exist. They are a faction. They are a group. They are real. It's not all Snyder fans. You can be a Snyder fan and not be a zealot. Okay, so that's Let me make that perfectly clear. They've already come, I've lost 2 subscribers, and I got a nasty comment on there and a few things on Facebook where I was like, are you serious? So they're real. They're there. It's not just bots and stuff. But the other thing is how dare you would rather have these characters in these movies and everything like that crash and burn, you know, just because Snyder's not there. And Snyder hasn't been there in years, and it's a whole different decade. You know what I mean? Things move forward. And that's what really gets me a little bit why I needed to speak out. You would rather see the world burn, crash and burn with that faction of those fans. They'd rather see it all crash and burn and have nothing for no one. You know what I mean? Like, think about that. Think about that. Um, there is such stuff bigger than you that was here before you and will be here after. And that just blows my mind. Let it burn instead of having it, right? So I thought about it, and that last Crow movie was so bad. I think I may have been on the verge of being one of those fans a little bit. Let it crash and burn before they make it worse. I felt like that about Star Wars. Let it crash and burn with what they were doing and things like that. And luckily, I got away from it. I stepped away from it. And I look back on it, and I'm not saying that it's silly because some of these things do matter. And also, why are they doing it? You know what I mean? Um, it's one thing for inspiration to be out. It's one thing for a story to play out. Things end. You know what I mean? Things end. And if you are a fan of Krypto being in the movie, that's fantastic. But all legends and all heroes, the greatest ones, they do have a final story. And Krypto had his final story in Whatever Happened to the Man Tomorrow in '86. I think it's when it was when Alan Moore put that out, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. Things in, airs in, and then we build up and we have new. So I'm seeing a lot of things where it's not even about the comics, it's the heroes. Something about being Snyder fans, Cavill fans. Sorry, but this source material, these characters, Sherlock Holmes, played by many people. Even Doc Savage has been played by different people. You know what I mean? Just think about that, right? Different actors come in and they take a role and a person and a character and they move forward with it. And it's going to happen again. The dude playing Superman now, he's not going to be the last guy to play Superman. You want to know who the best Batman was, in my opinion? As much as I love Keaton and I love Adam West, and I actually think George Clooney did all right. I think Ben Affleck did all right. Christopher Nolan movies, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. But the most underappreciated Batman ever, and the one who had the most pure Batman, and the man who, when people read the comics, they hear his voice, Kevin Conroy, right? So expand yourself outside of the Snyderverse, explore some of the other other eras of these characters, and actually read a comic book, and maybe you'll be like, okay, that's not too bad. Maybe you won't like it. I don't like Sucker Punch, but I can find good things in it. All right, guys. And then we get into this. I enjoyed the Guy Gardner era as a Green Lantern. It was fun. I always enjoyed the Batman Guy Gardner fight, Justice League issue. You need to watch my last video, guys. The essential books to read if you like that. I showed those books, and I thought I was going to get into this and go a little bit more in depth. But the Guy Gardner thing, this lets me, it really hits me of what I think James Gunn is hitting, and he's hitting me. I spent 5 years with these characters, and the things that he's pulling from with the Guy Gardner era, the JSA books that I followed from '99 all the way to the end of that JSA run where they turned into Justice Society. About 2 years with that one. There's books where I want to push them and tell people need to read Justice League Antarctica, because I feel like this is where James Gunn may be pulling some things from. I had those issues here somewhere where he punches Batman, but there was this fantastic stuff going on there, and it's really a great time to actually read a lot of these books. So what is this doing? Well, guys, There we go. Let's add that to stage. There we go. But yeah, I mean, I still have all of this stuff. I remember it like yesterday, and just to have this era of books pulled from to where I can go back and read this. I've always been more of a DC guy. Here's the story, the Action Comics 775, that I think is going to be an inspiration. I don't know if you like the Creature Commandos, but yeah, this stuff from the 80s is fantastic. There's G.I. Robot. Gil Kane redoing his giant size X-Men cover with the Creature Commandos. But I'm telling people, you might want the more up-to-date Creature Commandos that Tim Truman did. This didn't last long from the year 2000. I think this is more where they're pulling from. The original Grant Morrison Frankenstein stuff, which is, like I said, I really hope to go somewhere better with that character. The first appearance of the Bride. This stuff is still out there. Be patient right now because everybody's jumping on eBay and losing their mind. The Kendra Metamorpho. To see Metamorpho in a movie is something I never thought. Check out his origin of Batman the Outsiders. He doesn't really have a lot of centric stories, so you need to grab them. Here we go. This is what I was getting to, right? Yeah, this classic image, if he sticks that in the movie somehow, you are going to have standing ovation from anybody that is probably from 45 to 60. Okay, I mean, that know these stories and stuff, right? If they end up doing Metamorpho correctly, you're going to have people thinking he's the most tragic hero since Eric Draven of The Crow. There is so many places they can go with this stuff, right? I love the transition between these books and stuff, right? So yeah, we're reaching an iconic era, and then there's been several comic book creators we've lost over the last few years, and there was Neil Adams that really got people. Keith Giffen, but I got a 1-2 punch with George Perez, Keith Giffen, and that was a 1-2 punch. So I'm on a whole other level of trying not to have my expectations raised to end up seeing a lot of this Justice League stuff, right? I'm so cautious about some of the stuff. I'm excited also, but I'm so cautious with some of this stuff that when I saw Guy Gardner's hair, where he has the bowl cut and Nathan Fillion's got that smirk on his face, I'm sitting here looking at that bowl cut and I'm like, it's not quite straight across. I actually ended up like freeze framing it and looking at it. I'm really hoping we don't find out that guy has slicked his hair back and he's just gotten into a fight and they knocked him around a little bit and his hair fell. Things like that that are coming up there, right? I hope they come up with other characters. They really feel like they're coming close, with Mr. Terrific. I think a lot of these books are going to maybe go up. I don't know. But I really hope that they're leading up to some form of the Terrifics to where we're going to end up seeing Plastic Man coming up there. I think with James Gunn's humor that he puts in his books and things like that, I think Plastic Man would be perfect for him. So what he's done is he's turned around and given a lot of hope for seeing these smaller characters, right? And I'll show you the number one that if he shows up, you definitely want to be subscribed with the bell on because I'm going to get up on here and act like an idiot. If he puts ambush bug, especially with cheeks in anything, it's over. Okay, it is over. I'm going to fall over right there. I'm going to be like, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. That never should have. I never thought that would happen. So yeah, that'll be great. If you put ambush bug in it, I may be forgiving of a Booster Gold movie. All right. So guys, that's it. That's all. That's it. That's all we got to say. Check out the video. We're Essential Comics. If you've watched and enjoyed Creature Commandos, Superman, it's an actual video. I go through all these comics that you see. All right, I go through all these comics, recommending comics, All-Star Superman, JSA books, everything like that. It's a lot of fun. Just good comic talk. Let me know what you think in the comments, if I'm on track or anything. And we're going to take these last two comments and call it a day, guys. What we got here? I enjoyed Guy Gardner era's Green Lantern. It was fun, and I always enjoyed the Batman Guy Gardner fight scene. Yeah, the one punch fight was amazing. And then you top it all off with Blue Beetle crying so hard he's got to rub underneath his goggles, and you have Black Canary walking in devastated going, I missed it. I missed it. And then we have Paolo. Hey, Tim, just saying hi. Finished lunch, but we're going for coffee. Never too much free time on the holidays. And right there is the perfect ending to the show because that's why I have to go. We have things to do today. We had a busy day yesterday, and I think we're going to try to get out, get everything done, and go see Nosferatu, the movie today. All right. The wife looked at me last night as I was driving back from Bristol and seeing the Speedway of Lights at the Bristol Speedway and everything like that. Out of the blue, 9:30 at night, she just turns and looks at me and says, if we go see Nosferatu tomorrow, I'll pay for it. So, yeah, there we go. All right, guys, have a great day. Again, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you're watching on the rewind, I will guarantee I will read the comments and stuff, right? So thanks for everybody that's shared this morning with me. Thanks for everybody that's popped in. Read your comics, guys. Read your comics. Enjoy. Have a great day. Enjoy the holidays. Happy New Year to everyone. And yeah, that's it. Have a great day. There we go. We'll leave it right there with Victor. Just have a great day.